be Twitch. It won't be hashtag Twitch Taxman anymore.
Taxman.
Just Taxman.
Taxman.
I'm live. Good evening, Kendall.
Oh, you're live? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then I'll go live too.
Yeah, whenever.
Didn't know.
Yeah, but episode 5,
All right.
welcome. It is May the 14th.
Yeah.
Shit's been happening in the market. Doesn't even matter what market you're in, right?
Yeah.
Stocks, bonds, real estate. You're getting a hit one way or another, right? I think real estate is a little bit slower, but there have been some concerns from my realtor clients about much slower volume throughout March and April. And I think with real estate, I think a lot of the refinancing has to come out first, which takes time, right?
Yep.
Those who have to refinance over the next 2, 3, maybe even 5 years, the next 5 years, right? Depending how long this goes. I saw a report from the Canadian banks that they're expecting, key interest rates, interest rates to basically raise another possibly 2% over the next 2 years. Or possibly, I think it was maybe 1.5% by the end of this year, and possibly no increases next year. That's what I saw. I don't remember which news article it was. Could be Globe. But the big five, big six, maybe big six.
Yeah.
I never really bring National Bank in the conversation. But the big six. They're sizable. But they're very east based, right? But they're saying another 1.5%, possibly 2% before the end of this year, which I think is pretty aggressive, right? That would mean 0.5% in July, 75 points in
June
September.
1st. June 1st is the next one.
Yeah,
that's probably 50 basis points.
50, yeah. But then there's the next two after that will have to be 75 if they're hitting 2%, right? Which I don't think is going to happen.
Is there only 2 more meetings after June?
Isn't there?
I thought there was it was September and October, right? That's it.
I think, right? But nonetheless, right? 2% over the next year, people won't start refinancing, into 2023, 24, 25, and however long this winter goes on for, right? That could start impacting a lot of people in real estate, right?
Yeah.
The stock market has already reflected, the rising interest
4 more.
rates.
Just 4 more.
4 more. Okay, so 4
July,
more. 50,
September, October, and December.
50 basis points times 4, 2%, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for clearing that up, right? But the stock market has already reflected that, right? Tech stocks, S&P has taken I don't think S&P took a 30% hit, but the big stocks like your MFANG stocks took a 30% hit at this time. The N in that FANG has taken more like a 60% hit.
Yep.
And who knows if there's ever any coming. I didn't like Netflix to start with. I don't know about you. Of the MFANG, Netflix was. I held Netflix, when Bill Ackman, when he bought into Netflix, I followed suit, but I dumped it relatively quickly. Because I just don't like the business model. I don't like the market they're in, just because there's too much competition. But I think if you mentioned before this call that you got into Amazon, right?
I did. Disclaimer. This is not
investment advice.
This is just a personal kind of just hey, it's down 30%, like Brandon was saying. And I was like, I had some extra cash kind of sitting around. I'm like, why not buy CDR? And it's like at $13 or something. And I was like, this is.
I think it's like $2,200 on
on the actual
on the US market.
On the US market, yeah.
But no, that's a 30% discount.
Which is pre-pandemic, right? It's like, so you're telling me that basically Amazon. I know they had their first negative. I think profit, not making profits for the first time in their earnings.
Sure.
But then what the graphs are telling me is Amazon did absolutely no growth during the pandemic, and it's back to April 2020 prices.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So they've been doing other things, right? They've been doing AWS, all this other stuff, and I'm like, this is just just people, again, interest rates, and just don't believe in tech anymore. They just exit like no tomorrow, right? So I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm just gonna hold it because Amazon's here to stay. I see Amazon trucks out my my driveway all the time.
I mean, I
People
just
are still ordering.
yeah, I'm still ordering, right? I mean,
Yeah.
well, the thing is, like the Amazon delivery doesn't make money, right? Everyone knows
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for anything, I think it's just for branding, right? I mean, you
Right.
see the trucks drive by. I mean, the moneymaker is in AWS, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but that's besides the point, right? I mean, AWS, it's a great system, right? No
Mhm.
doubt about it. But no, that's their moneymaker, right? At the end of
Right.
the day, I don't actually know if Prime makes money, right? I've never actually done any deep dive into Amazon.
But it's a Costco membership, right? It's like
Yeah,
you just pay
yeah.
this, and then like Costco, that's how Costco runs. It's like you have all this cheap food, and they're like, or cheap things, and you're like, how does this company make money? Well,
But
like,
Costco doesn't make money just from, like, the memberships at Costco is like a very minute portion of their actual revenue, right? It's
Really?
more of
I
it's
thought-
more of just a grab, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They actually make very good margins on what they actually sell, right? Because
Right.
a lot of what Costco sells is on consignment, right?
Right.
If
Right.
if anything goes bad on the shelves, they ship it back
Yeah.
to the manufacturer, and basically your manufacturer's SOL, right? And then they pay the manufacturer's crap, and they make really good spread, right? That's why Charlie Munger loves Costco, right?
Right.
Although he exited Costco, right? I think 2 years ago.
Right.
It's still a very good stock. I order through Costco via Instacart, and
Yep. You mentioned it last.
and actually, no, I
previous episode.
subscribe to Instacart at this point. I'm actually an Instacart member now.
Okay.
Well, I just find having a kid, right? I
Yeah,
just
no, fair
don't
enough.
have time to go out, and I'm glad the convenience is out there, right? But
Yeah.
in my diamond hands, I'm holding Microsoft, Google, and Tesla, right?
Yeah.
And I've taken a 30% hit because
Right.
I've held it. I've held them for a long time. They've rode all the way up, and I've taken that 30% hit. Riding down at this point. I don't care, right? I think they mentioned Google's going to split, I think 1 for 20 in July. There will be some. I mean, stock splits don't provide value, right? But people tend, like the retail investors, tend to buy in during stock splits, right?
It's the psychology, right? Oh,
It's it's cheap. I can get in, right? And there's always been fractional shares with certain brokers, right? That you could buy in at any time, but certain brokerages don't offer fractional shares, of course, right? But like you said, the psychology, I think a lot of people get in, right? Microsoft, for me, that's just a forever holding stock. It's one of the best licensed royalty companies out there. I don't think the world is going to move over to I don't know. I don't even know what it's called now. Snow Leopard.
Linux?
No, whatever Apple uses, right?
Apple
iOS. No,
iOS. Yeah.
Is it iOS? Yeah.
iOS. I think so,
whatever their operating system. Like the world's not going to move over to Apple, right? Like it's pretty much going to stay on Microsoft. And I mean, between Windows and between Office, every machine has to have Windows. Most majority of machines out there have Office, right? I mean, every machine they sell, any machine anyone sells, they make money, right? So I don't think Microsoft's going anywhere. And Tesla is Tesla's my retirement fund, right? So I expect Tesla to be I'm a little worried with Tesla. To be honest, in terms of the the electric car side of it, right?
Right.
I don't see Tesla as an electric car company. I see it as an energy company, right?
Right.
But I think GM is ramping up, and I'm actually thinking, again, not professional advice, I think of getting into GM pretty soon,
right?
Because the PE is so low, the PE and the EPS is 6 today,
right?
Which is amazing, but granted, it's meaningless because I mean we can never tell what the future is. But they got a really good battery coming out on their electric cars over the next little while, and I think once that ramps up, those electric cells are being produced, I think, by LG. I think within the U.S. Right. So I don't think the supply chain is going to be as much of an issue as Tesla's been experiencing. So I think again, not professional advice. I think GM is on the horizon in terms of the electric car market, right?
Right. Right.
At
No,
least from a North
absolutely.
American standpoint. I just like how they've done their supply chain, right? But
Yeah.
the Diamond Hands, I'm holding Shopify. Shit. I'll tell you, I got on Shopify at $1,500. I think it's like 400 something today.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Yeah.
man.
So I'm
Oof.
down 70% on Shopify. I don't
Ready
care.
for acquisition now.
Yeah. At this point, it's basically if Amazon buys them up, great. Like I don't
Yeah.
care. It's at this point, it's just a loss for me. But I liquidated
Mhm.
virtually all of my financial stocks in March.
Oh, wow.
A while ago. Basically, when I took a 10% hit,
Yeah.
I dumped them, right? And
Yep.
the math behind that, and I don't know if that's something to do today, right?
Mhm.
But my math around it was, effectively, I bought these bank stocks at the beginning of the pandemic. The effective dividend rate was between 6 and 8%, which was very
Right.
high, right?
Right.
But the annual dividends versus the capital gains I would have made is a 7-year difference,
Right.
So I mean, to clarify, I'd have to wait 7 years to make the same amount of capital gains that I made on those bank stocks and Fortis, TC, Enbridge that I had, right? I liquidated all of them. I am, other than my Microsoft, Google, Tesla, and shitty Shopify, I'm gonna say about 50% in cash right now. And I'm just really going to my next move is S&P 500 ETF. Not necessarily VOO, but something that's more concentrated, not QQQ either, but something more like VOOG, for example, like just S&P 500 growth, which concentrates, I think, on the top 126 stocks of the S&P 500. Just so it's weighted more in the heavy tech stocks. But I think that's my next in.
Okay.
So I'm Diamond Hands for now in terms of those what I'm stuck with. I'm not gonna realize my losses, but I actually got out back in March, so that's
interesting.
That's my story.
Because I did the opposite. I'm getting into bank stocks now.
Yeah.
And actually, it came from I was running. Like I'm training for my half marathon.
I saw your picture. So
did you? Yeah. So for those supporters out there, and maybe I'll drop a link there if you want to support. But it actually didn't start with full disclosure. I didn't start with wanting to support the Peace Arch Hospital Foundation. I later found out when I signed up for the half marathon that we can run for a cause, and I was like, why not? I'm just gonna, I'm running anyways. I ran because my diabetes thing when I went to do a body check, it was kind of borderline. I was going to be diabetic, and
of course,
my
we have a history of white rice,
right, and sugar, bubble tea.
Sure,
that's probably what it is. And he was like, it's a lifestyle thing at your age. He's like, if you can just, get less sedentary, because he's asking about my exercise habits, and it was non-existent at that time. So, knowing me and, to get my, butt off the couch, it was kind of like, I need to set a goal. And so I was kind of like, you know what? I talked to a personal trainer. I'm like, is this doable? I like to run. I'm in half marathon in June. Is this possible? I think this was back in like February. And so I did that. And then so I'm training. I've got so this time is like the last time I ran a half marathon, I think it was supposed 7 years ago, so like 2015.
Sure.
And again, spur of the moment, it was like me and my friend were running Sun Run, and then we're just like, oh, this was fun. And then just at the food court, we're like, oh, what's next? And we saw kind of the half marathon, and we signed up for it. So I did no training. I literally just went from 10K, and then I just ran 3 or 4 kilometers kind of every week, and then I did it, and then I never did it again because it was so much pain, because I was like, I was chafing in the inner thighs. I didn't I thought I got the proper equipment, but I didn't. I had shoes, I got a pair of shoes for
them
it.
Shoes,
them shoes, but no. But the underwear, apparently, I asked my personal trainer this time. I'm like, how come I was chafing? He's like, you need like the
runner's underwear,
not the cotton. You need kind of that spandexy type of underwear. So this time I was prepped, and so I'm ramping up now. I'm at 12 kilometers. and adding about 2 kilometers every week.
Hmm.
So I'm pacing good, and I've got a whole kind of health team kind of around me, to kind of RMT, physio, everything to just kind
Yeah.
of make sure, thanks to insurance, group insurance plans, gotta love them, gotta use them. But yeah, so on one of my runs, I decided this year, I was like, I'm like, because all my parents and my son's birthdays are around the same time, like March to till May. It's
Hmm.
kind of like all in that range. And so I kind of was like, like cash, if I give them cash, it's like with inflation doesn't mean anything now.
Sure.
And I'm like, what is meaningful? And so I kind of like went to, like, so my brother's birthday, I was like, hey, what do you want? I'm like, I'll buy you any stock, right? Like, kind of like the budget's gonna be around $100. Like,
Sure.
pick a stock. And then he was thinking about it, and then I just decided for him. So I'm like, oh, I'll buy you TD, right? I'll buy you 1 share TD.
$100.
He's like, sure. Yeah, $100, right? $100. And then
$4 $4 a year.
$4 a year. Exactly. It's gonna grow. And then my dad and mom heard about it. He's like, hey, I want in for our birthdays, and so so I got them, yeah, so they were like, whatever is cheapest, and my mom's birthday is tomorrow.
Sure.
And so I got her some Bank of Nova Scotia shares because it was yielding a lot, and it was
Yeah,
cheap.
4.8 or something.
Yeah, 4.8 or something,
Yeah.
$80. So I got that, and then for my son, I did something very, very interesting. I just spread out all, like, I had a credit card for every bank except for BMO.
Okay.
Go figure. I don't have any relationship with BMO. That's what I found out.
Yeah.
So I used Amex as a kind of affiliate. And so I kind of laid it all out, kind of like Pokemon, right? So I did a reel on this on Instagram. And I was like, gotta reminisce in my childhood days, and like starter Pokemon.
Mhm.
He's 3, right? So I was kind of like, okay, I know Ash was 10 when he picked his first Pokemon, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna start him young. And at 3, I'm like, here we go, right?
Sure.
There's like 5 different credit cards.
Yeah.
And go pick one. He is not interested. Uncle had a Audi car
Sure.
for him.
Yeah.
He just like booked.
I saw that.
Yeah. So if you follow Young Dad Finance on Instagram, it's a venture of me and my son. I think moving on to this upcoming year, I'm gonna be doing a lot more kind of financial literacy for a 3-year-old and onwards.
Mhm.
That's really my hope. And so this was my first kind of stab at it. And so I was like, Papa's gonna give you, 3 bank shares. You're turning 3 this year. Like, what do you want? And he was just like, he just looked at the cards, like, what are these? And he started like, placing them. But like, he held on to the Amex card. So I figured Amex was the stand-in for BMO. And so I went ahead and bought him 3 BMO shares. And the post I had was, I'm like, I'm like, you're driving the Audi now. I'm like, all right, we better start saving.
Yeah.
I said, that's gonna be your car.
Well, you're already branding him, right? Or you're subjecting him to brands at this point, right? And it's not necessarily a what we call affordable brand. So
no,
I drive a Kia.
yeah. No, I drive a Toyota.
Right. So I mean, they certainly picked one of the higher end brand. But you know what? Like, I was in the whole Mercedes scene, right?
Yep.
My first car was a Suzuki, 100,000 kilometers, first car.
Yeah.
And after that, I bought a Mercedes. I bought a C230 2-door compressor.
Right.
The 2005 compressors, right? Last year that they were made. It was a used car, but no, it was my dream car, right?
Yeah.
And the last year they made that was 2005, and I drove that Mercedes for like 7 years, right? It was probably still is my favorite car. I mean, I drive an EV today, but in no way is it as fun, or no way does it feel as good as driving a Benz, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, that douchiness to just comes off of me while I'm driving. And I had it painted and everything, right? The only reason I got rid of it is because it smelled like rotten eggs. Like the exhaust smelled like rotten eggs. I had to get rid of it, right? And the dealership gave me like $3,000 for it, right? But I had 180,000 kilometers on it, right? Like, it was not the end of its life. It probably needed something, but it was time to move on, right? But and then I ended up with a Kia after, right?
Yep.
Like, I went back to being practical, right?
Right.
Once you get it out of your system, and once your son gets the Audi TT out of his system, TT EV, whatever it is in the future, once it's out of his system, then maybe
Yeah.
he'll go back to getting a Corolla or something, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, my first car was a Honda Civic. I
Yeah,
got
you
it
mentioned,
when I
yeah.
was, yeah, it was a 19, no, what is it? It was, I got it in 2009. It was a 1999 Honda Civic.
Oh, mine was
And I
a
drove that.
1999 Suzuki.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, those cars, man. Yeah, I drove it until literally, I think I drove it for what, like, so yeah, 2009, drove it until 2015. And
Sure.
it was because of two things. One was because it literally died in the middle of the road. I was turning left and it just gave out. And I was like, oh my goodness. And luckily I was driving at night, so then there was no car crash or anything like that.
Yeah.
Had a nice gentleman help me, like push the car over, and
Yeah.
had to be towed. And yeah, I don't remember what was wrong. I think wasn't a battery. I don't know, something was wrong with it.
Yeah, sure.
And then it was kind of like, and then my girlfriend, which is my wife at now, she was like, why don't you just lease? And I don't know, maybe we can go into this lease versus finance versus cash topic today too. But I was like, lease. I'm like, why would I ever lease a car? And then yeah, the payments came down to like $265. I got my first like full-time job at the bank. And I was like, yeah, I can afford this. And
What was that? Was that a
it's time for
Civic?
new
Was that a
car, 'cause I'm
Civic
like,
as well?
it was a Civic. It
Yeah,
was a
okay.
Civic.
So you got
It
a
was
brand new Civic.
2015.
Okay.
Brand new Civic. And I was
Okay.
like, oh my goodness. I was like, whoa, I got a new car. I'm like, I'm only paying $265. Like, this is cool.
What's that smell, right?
And, yeah, it was like the new car smell,
Yeah.
right? But the thing is, when I drove and my wife knows about this, when I drove my old car, it was, I always joke about it, but I was kind of serious. I'm
Yeah.
like I didn't want my future wife to like me because I drove a very nice car. So I purposely drove a used car because like I don't want the gold diggers, right? I just don't. Like, I just want someone who likes me for who I am,
you
right?
for you.
Yeah, for me.
Fair
and
enough.
so my wife passed that test. She of course didn't like that car. But she still stuck with me, and she recommended me get a new car. But she was okay with me getting a Civic, so that was fine. Like, that was the practical part of me, like you said. Like, for me, it's about point A to point B. She ended up getting a Benz, not Benz, sorry,
Beamer.
a BMW.
Yeah.
We talked about it, I think, first episode. And so I got drive a nice car, right?
Yeah.
But I was kind of like, yeah, but I'm like, I like my Civic. It's good on gas. Didn't have to do 89. I mean, I can only imagine, right? When now gas prices at 220. I was talking to a friend. I think premium now is like 270 or something, almost $3.
Really?
And yeah, for premium for like 89 or 91. Yeah,
91.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that big of a spread? Like 80-cent spread?
Yes.
Jeez.
Yes. It's crazy.
Because normally the spread was like, back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not back in the day, like when I drove my Benz. Like, when did I lose my Benz? It was 2016. I traded in my Benz.
Yeah.
Gas was probably like, maybe $1.20 a liter.
Yep.
And premium was like maybe $1.45, $1.50.
Yep.
So like a 30-cent spread.
Yeah.
But like an 80-cent spread for premium today, holy. Sorry, I haven't been to a gas station for 2 years.
I know. EV. You're driving EV.
Right.
But,
I can't wait. I can't wait till I get my insurance rebate check. Okay, if they send me that $110 insurance rebate check for gas being too expensive, I'm gonna take a picture and put it on social media. I'm gonna tag the government on it because someone like me should not be getting a rebate check because gas is too expensive. But obviously, it's gonna be an umbrella policy, right? They're gonna send it to everybody, right? But
for sure.
If they didn't do their due diligence of filtering out all the Tesla owners and all the other EV owners, like, wow, right?
It's just the government saying like, "Hey, vote for us. We're giving out free money." It means nothing.
It means nothing. $100 is how far can it get you, right? Like I was reading on my newsfeed today, like someone posted, bought gas today, $85, didn't fill the tank, good to go, right? Like,
right? Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. No. No. So, luckily I live by the border, so it's like literally like a 50 cents liters off. And it's like $15.
Well, that's like $25-$30 difference, right?
Yeah. So it's
So those bank stocks that you're buying, why did you decide to get in now? And I mean, I'll add to this. I tell you, I did buy some stuff. I didn't mention. But why specifically did you buy bank stocks around this time?
Well, couple of things. I mean, A was again without reading any articles. I just
Yeah,
thought, banks right now it came off their highs.
yeah,
Like you mentioned, or
they're still beating
discounts and
expectations. I
yeah,
think,
and
I
they're
think,
beating
I think
expectations. And
TD just released and they beat.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
I'm not surprised. I mean, I worked at a bank, so it's like, and there's only five of
yeah,
them. It's almost like a oligopoly. So,
yeah.
I mean, it was just the fears of
There's
recession,
six.
right?
There's six.
Six. Okay. Well, are we gonna throw in like Laurentian Bank,
No, no,
TD
no. The,
Bank, and
the
all
the
these?
six the six is National Bank, is it? Yeah.
I
RBC
thought we just
TD,
call. Yeah, but I
BMO,
thought. Yeah,
TD, BNS,
yeah,
and
yeah.
National. National
I
is
thought it was
part of
Big
this.
Five. I've always
No,
worked
it's
with Big
supposed to be
Five,
Big
Big Four.
Six.
Really?
Yeah,
Just like the Big
like
Four, right? It's
National
like,
Bank is like a $14 billion market cap. It's not a small bank.
oops.
Laurentian's like 2 billion. That's like it's piddly.
Oh, okay.
It's not piddly. It's a
Okay, fine.
smaller bank.
Okay, Big Six banks. But I'm working at them. They're just profit machines, right?
Yeah, they're profit.
It's just
What good times or bad times they make money, right?
yeah. So like
Good times are lending out. Or good times for us. Good times for
yeah,
us are lending out. Bad times are
yeah,
jacking up rates and making money, or foreclosing on people as well, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
money making churning machines, and the EPS is like I think EPS for BNS was like CIBC was like 10, right? And
Yeah.
EPS is around about 13
Yes, exactly.
on 13 on a market price of like $120 or something, right?
Right. Right.
It's not bad at all, quite frankly, right? And
Mhm.
even CIBC EPS of 13 paying out a dividend of about six, I think it's like 640, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they're making
Yeah.
basically 2 times of what they can pay out, right? Which is
Yeah.
a very healthy
Yeah.
stock. No, all six of them are very healthy stocks,
Yeah.
right at the end of the day. But I don't like the yields right now, quite frankly.
Fair enough.
Like the
Yeah.
yields are below, other than BNS.
Right.
Most of them, like the bigger ones, TDRBC, they're
Yeah.
below 4, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, to me that's unattractive, right?
Yeah, and that's what I'm buying now because they were saying there's buybacks. They were going to increase
Buybacks,
the
yeah. BNS is
dividends.
buying back.
Yeah, and dividend yields too are going up because they missed it. I think the last
Yeah,
earnings and some analysts were saying no, that it's coming. They have all these profits. They're gonna bump it up, right? And
yeah.
so I was just kind of like, you know what, just why not? It's a long term hold. It's like my son's like 3, so for his RESP and stuff
I
like
think you
that.
bought him 3 shares, right?
From 3 shares, yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah, and then
he's making what, $12 a year.
yeah, exactly. And then we
Right.
can go and buy his egg waffles that he likes, and
Sure.
I'll be like, you can thank, BMO Bank, right?
Yeah, and I mean,
Um,
he's gonna enjoy that for the next 18 years. Well,
exactly.
15 years at this point,
Yeah.
right? Um, no, but I too. So I mean, I didn't get it. I liquidated my bank stocks, my
Yeah.
financials, right?
Yeah.
I enjoyed some very good capital gains from
Yeah.
June 23rd, 2020. So
Yes.
I bought into BMO at like $63. I
Yep.
sold it for like, I don't remember. It was about 90% gain, right?
Probably. Yeah.
I remember at one point at the peak in February, it's like 110%. And I
Double.
mean, I should have, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I had the butterflies in my stomach that this was the year that's gonna, take a hit, right?
Right.
But I let it slide, because no one has a crystal ball at the end of the day.
For sure.
I let it
Yeah.
slide, and I took, almost a 15% hit off the top. All five, I had all 5 of them, right?
Right.
And I probably lost, a good, reiterate 15% off the top
Right.
before I dumped them. So, like I said, it was either I can hold them for the next 7 years and make the equivalent of what I would realize in capital gains today, right? So I was
Right.
like, in this market, stocks, as long as they raise interest rates or raise
Right.
borrowing rates, stocks will continue to go down.
Right.
How far they raise interest rates, who knows, right? Again,
Yeah.
no crystal ball. At least 2% over the next 1 to 2 years, right?
Mhm.
That's already factored in, right?
Yeah.
But over the next 7 years, will we see market uncertainty, or even they're saying today, is this the bottom at this point because Apple bottomed out? Again,
Right.
who knows, right?
Who knows?
But again, I've realized I locked in my gains. I'm going to pay my taxes, of course, at this point because I locked them in. But it's a matter of, I'm enjoying these gains at this point. These were company capital gains, so I can pay it out to myself as a shareholder tax free,
Right.
which I'm going to utilize to pay down debt at this point.
Right.
Okay, and that's what I want to branch out to about paying off debt. That's where I'm going here. And wait 7 years and make 7 years of dividends, or realize my capital gains now and extract half of that out of my corporation, pay myself personally, pay down debt, right? Because debt is not deductible personally, for whatever purposes, right? So, but I did get in, and I bought Vanguard High Yield ETF, 3.86 yield. And it's basically just a basket of bank stocks.
Have you looked into a Hamilton ETF? The leverage
too expensive. No, I don't do that. I thought you sent it to me. It was like 1.25 or something, 1.25 times. I don't bother. I think the MER is too high. Whereas, and that's just me.
Being your accountant makes sense. All about the cost.
Whereas, Vanguard was, I think, 0.22. 0.22 for 3.86 yield, and since inception, it's a 10% annual return since I think 2010. I mean, 2010 to 2021, those are some pretty golden years, right? It's hard. It's such a bias, since inception, 10% return. But I got in, and I didn't put everything back in, but I put in, I mentioned I'm 50% cash today. Right. So, I would say a good 30-40% is in that one Vanguard yield fund. Okay. And I'm basically just going to ride it with, whether the market goes up or down at this point, I don't care. I'm going to ride I'm just going to round it up, 4% yield on a basket of, I think, 26 stocks, right? Which is, the 5... I think it's just the 5 financials in this basket. Energy,
the National Bank, big six.
It has your big energy. It has your big telecom. It has your big, whatever your big yields are, right? And I'm just gonna leave it, right? And like I said,
is it just all Canada?
It's all Canada, right? Because I need the preferential tax treatment.
No, fair enough.
Right. I do hold. I mean, like I said, I do hold U.S. equities, right? And the mega caps, right? But I mean, I'm not going to see returns on those mega caps for at least 2 years. I'm going to say, I think, right? At least 2 years, if not more, right? But I mean, in the meantime, I need some sort of return, which is why I went Vanguard High Yield. Can't go wrong with Vanguard. They've been around for 50 years, 1970s.
Yeah, they're the company that started mutual funds.
So
and ETFs.
So that was my my whole, I guess, February, March, April, liquidate and get back into something that was, dividend paying. That's basically more dividend paying, and spread it out. But even at this point, that Vanguard High Yield Fund is going to be with me for life, because I'm just basically just going to live with it until retirement. It's going to pay me into retirement. Right? So
and those are good industries to be in.
Well, it's a top 26, top 26 highest yielding, right? Of companies that are that have a sustainable dividend, right?
Right.
It's none of your, it's none of your covered called, 10% yield type of thing, right?
Yeah.
But that's that basically. So that's my story. So you got into banks, you got into individual banks. I actually got out of banks and into ETFs. I took a more defensive play. I feel uneasy in this market, right?
No, 100%. And like I said, I didn't like I said, they're like, I didn't get into it with like a lot of money. It was just the 3 shares, like 8 shares of like Scotia, 1 share of TD. So we're not talking thousands of dollars. My stuff is being managed by my financial advisor. Like, he's the one watching the markets and stuff like that. He's actually he bought some. He told me about food prices probably going up, so he actually got me into this like agriculture fund that Invesco has. Because of
is that for the potash companies? or
No, no,
just
no. For
agriculture
like
in general?
agriculture in general. So like
Okay.
it's all about the futures, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
of wheat,
yeah. Okay, wheat, corn, and all that stuff.
wheat, corn, and all that.
Yeah.
Because it was like about the war in Ukraine. Apparently, Ukraine I think supplies like 25% of the
Yeah,
world
and there was
wheat.
a thing today that Russia's blocking the grain from leaving Ukraine or
Yeah,
something. So
yeah.
that probably had
So
impact
like
to
so
that.
yeah, so he read into kind of like, you know what, it's probably going to drive up food prices, and if there's forest fires in California and BC,
Yeah.
like now it's almost like an annual thing.
Well,
Yield
floods, right?
crops
The
and
flood, the
floods and
floods
stuff
last
like that.
year.
Yeah,
Well, the floods last, like all that Fraser Valley area is basically dead.
yeah,
Well, not entirely. Like they're replanting and everything, but there's not going to be much harvest from that area this year,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Most of it was like blueberries, but they're saying it's not going to have a huge impact because blueberries come from other regions as well.
right. Yeah,
But at the, I mean, as we progress into the future, food
yeah,
prices will go up, right?
yeah,
As long as you have more people and events that hinder food production, right? Less supply, higher demand,
yeah,
higher price,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Not a
And
bad
so
call. That's not a bad call at all.
yeah, yeah. So that's why I'm like, I mean, he's the one that updates me and stuff like that. So like
Mhm.
my money, like my retirement, RESP stuff, like he handles it. This is just me on the side, just having fun. So
So RESP, I bought my son RBNK, which is a Royal Bank.
yeah. Oh, that one. I bought that one before. Yeah, the Royal Bank.
The Royal Bank
like,
ETF.
yeah,
So
ETF. Yeah,
I bought that for my son for in his RESP.
yeah,
So you
yeah,
bought the BMO shares for him. I basically bought
yeah.
him RBNK ETF,
Good.
and
Good.
he'll ride that until he's 18.
There you go.
And we'll see what he does, right? And I
Yeah, there you
basically
go.
I put that whole $2,500 like
Yeah.
that. So I did that optimized thing, like $2,500 for 14
Yes.
years and something. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
his entire $2,500, he got like 100 shares into that RBNK stock. A little less, I think it's like 90 something, right? But it
Yeah.
pays him monthly.
Yeah.
Like 8 cents or something monthly. But
Yeah. Oh, it adds up. Compounding and stuff like that. Like I just did my I got my financial plan back, and then it's surprising. Like, the amount of money I have right now, it's going to be like 4 or 5 times by the time I'm 60 because of compounding. We're using rate of return rate of 4%. So
yeah.
nothing like, nothing crazy. You just like standard 4%, like you said. Like if I just bought that Vanguard and got 4% yield, and let's say it made no return, but just kept making that 4%. I was able to kind of get about 4 times kind of 4 or 5 times what I have right now. And so that exercise really just highlighted how important compounding is.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's not about the and with all my clients that I've helped in the past, like the ones that are super successful and have enough money in retirement are not the ones asking me what's the next flavor of the month. It's I just want to, like, they're just very disciplined. Every year January they'll put into the TFSAs, they'll buy the RSPs, and then just leave it, right? The ones that are like me, who's trying to pick the flavor of the month, like they lose so much money. It's just like buy and sell and buy. And I'm so glad my parents are not doing that anymore, right? They're like so busy, they're like, yeah, just handle it, right? And
yeah.
I got my friend involved to do it, so he's kind of like he actually, like, because we did that, like we because my parents were like all these like China tech stocks.
Sure.
So like basically by transferring over to a professional to manage, I think saved them probably about half their portfolio.
Sure.
Because they would have just held, right? There would be like right? You're holding Microsoft, Tesla, and
Google.
I forgot.
Google, yeah.
Right? They were holding like, what is it?
Tencent.
10 cent, yeah.
Baba,
yeah. That car company,
Neo, yeah.
Yeah, Neo.
What happened to Neo? I think Neo got hit pretty bad.
Oh yeah,
and, same supply chain issues.
What's the other one that everyone was talking about?
Meituan.
That's
Meituan.
Meituan. Yeah. No, but ARK, in the ARK one, like I'm going back to the US, like there's this one tech stock that Kathy Wood really likes.
Someone was mentioning Kathy Wood, just that RK is just so February 2021 I was in RK.
Yeah.
I lost money on RK. I rode RK from 124 down to like 105. And I basically got out. It's like, because I mean, 2020, it just, it rose to the moon, right?
Yeah.
And, Kathy Wood had her, hands of magic. But I think Arcade today is worth like 40 or $50 or something.
I think so.
If I held it,
Honestly.
like I'd be crying.
$43.60.
Yeah, I think CNBC was saying like it's the kiss of death or something, right?
Yeah.
Um, but no, I look at the ARK K portfolio of what they hold.
Yeah.
Like I think Shopify's in there, Zoom is in there. I mean, obviously the whole Tesla is the biggest holding, which I still think Tesla,
Roku, Zoom, Exact Science, Block, Teladoc, which my parents held too.
yeah,
Coinbase, Unipap, yeah.
Coinbase just took a huge hit, right? Crypto. We haven't talked about crypto. Have you seen? You saw Luna, right? Luna UST went to zero.
Yeah.
Well, there was a pretty funny meme that it said the day you lost 99% of your value, and then the next day you lose another 99% of your value, which is what happened, right? It went from 100 down to 4, and then 4 down to a penny, right? But no, that was kind of hilarious when I saw that. But I know some people who lost, their life earnings with Luna UST, and by life earnings, like we're talking like $100,000 to $200,000, like normal people, right?
Yeah.
Where they basically sunk everything into Luna and Luna UST, and basically, they've basically saw their fortunes basically just wiped out, right? And for
what is like Luna? Like, is it a coin or like
it's a stable coin, right?
Yeah.
That's basically
it was a stable
coin based on probably at that time based on a very good algorithm that at that time worked, right?
Right.
I didn't get into specifics, so I can't explain the background of it. But basically,
is it kind of like a Bitcoin and then Ethereum and then there's like Luna kind of thing?
No. It's completely. It's kind of like it's pegged to $100 basically, right? So
okay.
It's easily tradable, and almost like it was meant to be that it was always tradable at like $100, right?
Okay.
But as you needed more supply, it replicated itself and made more supply.
Right.
I don't know specifics, but basically it began replicating itself in insane amounts. Think of it like Jay Powell. You keep printing money, your thing's worthless, right? And it printed like I don't know how many it printed. It printed a lot of itself, like overnight, basically, and it basically just devalued itself down to zero. And it wasn't backed by anything, because you have to remember it was based on some algorithm instead of being backed by U.S. currency, right?
Right.
And it basically just tanked, right? But it is what it is. I'm still in crypto.
Me too.
I got probably 10% of my holdings still in crypto. I wrote it down. I think I will get into Bitcoin. I'm gonna throw that out there. I don't think Bitcoin's bottomed out. If Bitcoin hits 22,000 USD, there would be a major event for a major crash on Bitcoin. So MicroStrategy is a company out there that leverages its Bitcoin, Bitcoin holdings basically, and they will get margin called if Bitcoin basically tanks below 22,000 USD, right? If that happens, oh my God, it's going to be it'll be a very temporary tragic market where cryptocurrency will be deemed scary, right? Scary to hold or utilize in the future. But I think cryptocurrency itself still has a lot of utility. I think all the projects out there are worthless. I'll throw that right out there. All the cryptocurrency out there right now, it's for money, right? It's mainly for money. I don't think there's a single platform out there that actually has a working utility to make it worthwhile.
Right.
right? Ethereum is too expensive to utilize, right?
Mhm.
Solarium, which is Ethereum 2.0, I don't think it's ever going to come to market. They're 3 years behind, and Ethereum miners have no incentive to want to go to Serenity, right? You can't mine
Right.
Serenity, right?
Right.
Bitcoin has no utility,
Yeah.
right? Even gold has utility, but Bitcoin doesn't. Dogecoin is garbage, complete rat shit. Um, right, and you can all the other ones out there like Cardano and all the the DeFi coins out there, right?
Yeah.
Like they're all these projects made by small platforms, teams of less than 100.
Yeah.
It's not backed by anything, right? Like
Yeah.
there's no single currency, like a actual central backed digital currency is
Mhm.
what I think the world needs.
Mhm.
But it needs
Which
to,
is what all the central banks are doing.
but
Right
I
now,
mean,
right? They're all trying to.
I think it's in the wrong direction though, right? I think what Meta Libra was trying to do was what the world, I personally think that's what the world needed. A one
Right.
universal digital coin, right?
Right.
Obviously, there's a huge political, they face huge
Too much power.
political slap back on that, right? That, how can a company control the world monetary system, right?
Right.
I mean, IMF had a huge problem with it, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
But I think that's what the world needs. They don't need a China digital currency. They don't need a U.S. central bank digital currency.
Mhm.
Canada doesn't even know what they're going to do with the digital currency. Like if the conservatives get in, they basically said, "What? No, conservatives were pro crypto. The liberals right now, and Canada is very central, right? Canada is very central left, right?
Yeah.
The liberals now basically saying we're not going digital currency, right?
Yeah.
Until.
But is it up to them or is it up to the central bank?
Wow. At the end of the day, I mean, your head of state has so much control over, your central bank, especially in Canada, right?
Yeah.
I think for the U.S. system, it's different, right?
Right.
Between, presidency and, treasury, right?
Yeah.
It's quite separated. But in Canada, it's basically, it really is, I don't know. I think it's one system. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's two because, I mean, one of the people that was running for the conservative leadership, he was like, I'm going to fire the bank governor.
Yeah, Poilievre.
And then they quickly said, it was like,
I like that guy.
Therefore,
no, I like, I'll tell you, I'm not a conservative voter. I'm not a liberal voter.
Yeah.
Right. I really like Pierre Poilievre.
Yeah.
I don't think he's prime minister material though.
Right.
I think he's a very good opposition.
Right.
An opposition guy because he's one of the most hilarious critics out there, right? And he's very good at criticizing, the liberal government, right? But I don't think he's prime minister material, unfortunately, right? I think he does very well in government, but I don't think he's a likable leader. I think he's likable because he's a wise ass, right? But I like him. I like him as a politician a lot,
right?
But I could never vote conservative. I'll tell you that.
Right.
There's just too many policies. The current conservative government, there's a lot of things I just don't agree with. I think prior conservative governments, I could see myself leaning towards. I've always flip-flopped, right?
Yep.
And at one time,
like many Canadians,
but no, at one time I would vote Jack Layton.
Right.
I don't vote NDP.
Right.
But I would vote Jack Layton.
Okay.
Like that's how I really, really liked Jack Layton. I thought he was he would have brought Canada to the next level. I thought.
Right.
Unfortunately, he died. No, I thought he would have brought Canada to that next level of.
He brought. I mean, when he ran, he was they were like second. They were in opposition.
They were. I think they were the
Orange Wave just came and like over Quebec and Ontario. Like they did really well.
Yeah.
Like he had charisma. He had He was he was really up there.
But I mean that's a different story.
Yeah.
So ETFs, we bought ETFs. We dumped we got into certain banks. Debt. Where are you with debt?
Where I am with debt, I'm glad I've left the bank on that because they will just tell you to borrow more. But right now, I'm telling a lot of my clients and people close to me, I'm like, pay down your debt because the day of reckoning is coming.
Yeah.
And we're not going to have cheap money anymore, right?
But it's a slow walk towards that day of reckoning.
Yeah.
Right. And we have a lot of procrastinators in society.
Yeah, because I'm like, I never understood, right? My parents would never get a mortgage. I'm like, why? I'm like, and I never understood.
My parents never had a mortgage.
Yeah, and they told me basically, I was like, yeah, because interest rates were like 8-9%. I was like,
yeah,
oh,
that's
okay,
right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, then I don't get a mortgage. That makes no sense.
You have to remember back in the 80s, like bonds, like I told you, bonds were like 14%, right? And that's what my mom did, right? But no, it's the same story. Like my parents never had a mortgage because
it
didn't make sense.
And even if they did, it was very, very small. Because it was kind of like I was like, oh wow, 8%. I was like, okay, that's why your high interest savings accounts at that time, or it was just savings accounts, but I was paying like 4 or 5%.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we're going to again like inflation, right? Like I learned about it in textbooks saying like, oh, this is the monster that eats your money, and I'm like, it's 1%. Like no one's gonna notice. It's always they're like, oh, the target rate is 2%, right? The Bank of Canada or like the central banks. I'm like, what do they have to do? Like it's just flat, right? And then boom, we're at 5% inflation. I'm like, oh, this is real, right?
Yeah.
And so my view was like, yeah, no, it's like, before it's too late, right? It's like, like the party's not over. I don't think it, I think it's gonna be, like the interest rates, I don't think would be going to 4 or 5%, but I could be wrong with the way things are trending. But still, at anything over 3%, I start kind of like, you know what? No more borrowing to invest. It's just too volatile. There's just too many curveballs. Do what's guaranteed. And like if I can get, like I said, my plan is based on a 4% return. So if rates ever go to 4%, guess what? I'm not buying stocks anymore. I'm not buying ETFs anymore. I'm paying down my debt.
Sure.
Like I'm just paying it down because like it's not no more Smith maneuver and all this other stuff. Like it just doesn't make sense.
You can't do it anymore.
Risk. Yeah, I can't do it anymore, right?
Yeah. Right? I mean, if in the good times, right, you would throw your money into VOO, right?
Yeah.
And historically, VO makes 7% a year over the long term, right? Since 1960s to now, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're borrowing at 4% to make a 3% spread, right, and to accept that risk, right, it's difficult to digest at that time, right?
Yeah.
Right. So no, I'm the same. I'm paying down debt. I'm paying down a 1.6%.
You were paying down debt even before. During the good times, you were paying down debt.
Yeah. No, I'm paying down a 1.6%. Like people will call me crazy. I'm paying down a 1.6% fixed mortgage.
Yes.
In which I don't have. I'll tell everyone out there, my mortgage is $400,000 today. Right. And my term is January 2025. So what is that? 3, 4, 5, 2.5 years.
2.5 years. Yeah.
Right. And basically I'm accelerating my payments against debt, against a 1.6% mortgage with the intent that, over the next 2.5 years that, I will pay down as much as I can so that when I need to renew, my mortgage is basically, maybe 200 grand, 170 grand at 5%.
Gotcha.
Right. That's because I mean, if you're paying debt at 5%, it's almost what's the point?
Yeah.
Right. If my mortgage was still $300,000 in 3 years, that's $15,000 of non-deductible interest that I have to pay, in which I have to use after-tax personal dollars to pay, which is costing me 15 divided by 0.6.
Yeah.
Right. That really is almost $24,000 that I'm spending to service my personal mortgage interest. Right. No, the home you live in is not an asset, right? It's a liability, right?
Yes.
So no, I'm accelerating my debt payments with the intent to get rid of that mortgage in 6 to 8 years, right? No, I don't. I think this is a long winter. I don't think we're going to see slashes of interest, right? I no, with inflation being 7%. Right.
Yeah.
They're going to have to recover from that. I mean, there's so much debt out there. Debt is good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's that whole scary thing that the U.S. economy has $30 trillion in debt.
Yeah.
It's almost like, who cares?
Here's
right?
what I found.
Oh, did Siri find something for me?
Hello.
That was me last week.
I don't even know where my phone is.
I don't have an answer for that.
Oh,
is there something else I can help with?
It's my Apple Watch. But I mean, $30 trillion in debt, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're saying the balance sheet is 20 trillion, 30 trillion in debt. That must mean equity is minus $10 trillion, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen businesses operate like that. It's not the end of the world, right? Basically they have 20,000 on the balance sheet, 30,000 in debt, minus $10,000 deficit. It's not the end of the world, right?
Right.
I think the big fear you see, the U.S. debt counter climbing, hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars every second.
Yeah.
Like, it's no big deal, right? But ultimately, if they're if inflation is 7%, right? In order to tackle that inflation, like, interest rates have to be above 7%, right? They got to be. I was watching, can't remember the source, but they're saying, like, to combat this, like, interest rates have to be 12%, in which they never will be.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't.
You can't have interest rates at 12% when everyone.
Especially Canada. Like, everyone's gonna be out of a house.
Well, not only that. Think of California. Think of the entire West Coast, this Cascadia West Coast, right? Seattle,
Right.
California, Portland, LA, right?
Yeah.
Like, all of those homes are, like, way over leveraged at this point, right?
Yeah.
You can't have someone who borrowed $1 million. They put 300,000 down. They borrowed $1 million to buy a $1.3 million home, and now they're paying $120,000 in interest. That's more than their salary. It'll never happen, right? They can't do that, right?
Yeah.
So I think what ends up happening is they print more money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They just keep printing, and it's not a problem to print money, right? You have to print money, and it's a way for governments to just keep spending, right? I don't think it's really a problem to print money,
Right.
but I'm paying down interest for the. At the end of the day, I don't want to pay $15,000 of out of pocket personal interest if I don't have to, right? And debt is guaranteed.
Yeah.
I've paid down all of my line of credits. I
Yeah.
have no home equity line of credit leveraged against equities or investments right now.
Yeah.
It's just the mortgage on my home. So I'm paying down debt, and I'm focusing, the next, I'm going to say 2 to 5 years, focusing on paying debt and putting a small amount into equities. I still will be investing in the market, right?
Right. Yeah.
I am timing. I am not, dollar cost averaging in, right?
Yeah.
I'm not buying, a little bit each month, the dollar cost average down. I'm doing the stupid thing of, trying to find the bottom, which, I probably won't. And probably maybe even though I hit the bottom, which is what CNBC was saying today. But, I am, I will slowly still be in the market. I just won't be putting 100% of my savings into the market, because that's what I did for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Anything I made went into the market, and I paid down.
Yeah, which was a smart move, because it was just kept going out.
Well, if they're going to print money, right, it's going to inflate your assets. And, I'm making, if I told you I made 100% on BDO over the last 2 years, and inflation was, say 6% over the last 3 years, I'm still up 80%.
Yeah.
It didn't matter, right? But,
Yeah.
I think in this environment, it's a little scary to live with debt.
Yes.
Especially those who are over leveraged. I'm scared of those who
bought houses recently.
Who bought condos, right? Who bought new developments and
pre-sales.
Pre-sale. I have some pre-sales. I'm guilty.
Yeah.
But
my parents too.
But imagine if I have to close on those pre-sales.
Yeah.
Right, in 2025. So 3 years from now, if I have to close on those pre-sales, and the market value of those pre-sale, hypothetical situation, the market value of those pre-sales go down.
Yeah.
Right.
Negative equity.
Well, I'm gonna have to borrow to close
Yeah.
on those properties at this point, right?
Yeah.
I can always just give up the deposits,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
it is what it is, right? I mean, I won't
Yeah.
do that. That's no, I have $100,000 of money basically that of real money, of non-borrowed
Yeah.
money that I basically sunk into these pre-sales. But
Yeah.
you know, what if in those situations, where I do close because I don't want to lose $100,000, and I have to borrow, on two properties $1 million
Mhm.
at 5%,
Mhm.
right? No, that will make my stomach queasy if the housing market goes down.
Mhm.
On the West Coast,
Right.
right? But not only myself, like those people who already closed on existing condos,
Yeah.
right? And are now, they have the home they live in, two other properties, they're both rented properties, and they put down 100 grand, they borrowed 500, and now they have to, they're not going to sell these properties. They're making rental income, right?
Mhm.
But now their interest rates have gone up because they got a really nice favorable 1.3% variable mortgage back then, which is now 2.1%, right? And like that, I mean, their payments won't go up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, basically just the interest portions will go up, but they will basically, be they'll be paying off these mortgages forever, right?
Right. Yeah.
Not forever, no, just a longer term, right?
But it is forever because people refinance and borrow more money, and there's like, oh, market prices go up. But I mean, for me, I view it as I think yeah, the next 2 years rates will probably go up, but I think this will induce a recession.
This
and
would be the test.
At which point I feel they will have to be forced to cut rates, not aggressively, but I think they will still have to cut it a little bit. And so I don't think that's why there's a part of me that doesn't think 5% interest rates would be there in two. At least I'm hoping, because in 2 years' time, that's when my mortgage is due. So there's a personal bias. But I am preparing for the possibility of that happening. And yeah, it is in the back of my mind now to kind of maybe round up, like, if I have any excess cash, instead of dumping it in the markets, it just might be, just to pay, little chunks. That's what the advice that my realtor gave me. She's like, yeah, that's what she does. Just rounds up her payments and just little things, and then you just shave off your mortgage. Like, it's just a little thing. It's just like $20 here, $50 here, extra payment here, and then you kind of hit your mortgage down that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm starting to kind of, instead of before, any extra money would be like, yep, let's look at some, attractive things in the stock markets and buy. But now it's like, no, if I have extra money, I'm probably looking to, I mean, right now I need to kind of develop my emergency fund.
I don't have one.
Well, it used to be lines of credit, right? But
Yeah.
now it's like, I don't want to, like, especially if rates are going to go up, I don't want that to be my emergency fund anymore. I actually do want some, especially now too, with kind of like some accounts out there starting to pay decent interest. I'm like, might as well just put it there, collect some.
I've seen nothing higher than 0.3 right now.
1.5 at EQ Bank.
I don't look at EQ.
Oh, okay. Well,
I should. But
well, I mean, I don't need service. I just need to park my money somewhere. Digital.
That used to be Tangerine, though. Like, I have Tangerine.
Yeah, right? But that's 0.3.
Yeah, that's 0.3.
Yeah. EQ still out there, and it's not acquired by the big six banks. It's standing there, using that money as an alternate lender, and it's CDIC insured, so I don't have more than 100K in there. And yeah, they bumped up that, and their USD now is paying 1.25%, which again, I never heard of any Canadian banks that offer US accounts paying interest. I was like, oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And so so that's where all my savings are. And I'm shopping around. There's like now 2.8% for like 4 months. So wherever those offers are.
Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah, even Royal is paying like 2.5 for 3 months or something.
Yeah. So I'll play that game. It's
it's guaranteed, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, even though inflation's 6 or 7%, I mean, you're only losing 4 apparently. Yeah. Only if you believe inflation's real.
Yeah, I do. Right? It's
I don't.
My bubble tea.
No, I don't.
My bubble tea is higher now. It's
I noticed that.
$5.
Yeah, now it's 7.
Now it's like 8. Yeah, 7 or 8.
Yeah.
It's almost like a meal. I'm like, I guess bubble teas can be meals, But I'm
They're
like, I'm
cheap to
paying 10 now.
make,
Yeah, I know.
right? Like
I
the
know.
mar the cost of goods, the cost of goods has always been 100%.
Yes.
Gross margins were always 50% on
Right.
your milk tea.
Yeah.
And basically they don't make money. Like the shops themselves don't make much money because everything goes to rent and salaries.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
But the gross margins itself, like that $7 you're paying, right?
Yeah.
The ingredients are imported, right? So
Yes.
no, when they're coming in, as the market rate changes, right? So you're
Right.
paying $7. Really, your gross margins are now your cost of goods on that one drink is $3.50, right?
Right.
It is what it is. I mean, you go to McDonald's, right? Or you go to
Hey, it's $5 chickens.
no A&W, right? You go to A&W, you get a combo. It's like $10.50.
Oh yeah.
Right?
I have a thing now with my son. Every Sunday morning, I go to A&W. I heard it from my friend actually. He did a thing with his dad at Tim Hortons, and he's like he has fond memories of that. And after I heard that,
I'm gonna do McDonald's. McDonald's is my go-to.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's just A&W is a walkable distance. The McDonald's is in the Walmart, and it's further. So
Sure.
with his short legs and stuff, and the walk and time we have.
No, I like McDonald's
A&W
coffee.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard it's good. I heard
I'll throw this out there. I think McDonald's coffee is better than Starbucks.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Many times.
Starbucks is going down.
Are they?
That's why.
Are
They
they?
are. Yeah, they had some. I think Howard Schwartz is back as the CEO interim until they find a new leader. But yeah, they're closing down shops and stuff like that. They're just I don't know what's going on, but it's down because I had some shares from my parents, and then I thought it was cheap, but then it went down even further. So
Sure.
but I don't follow them.
But I like McDonald's stock.
Yeah,
I've always liked McDonald's stock.
Yeah,
I've always eyed it. I've gotten into McDonald's once. I exited, but I should not have. But if I had bought nothing other than McDonald's for the past 12 years, I would probably have more money today than from all my ins and outs from everything that
it's not too late. You can start that.
It's not too late. Yeah, quite frankly. You know how I pick my mega cap stocks, Kennald.
Yeah.
100 years in the future, is there a planet named after that corporation? Is there a planet Tesla? Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Is there a planet Disney? Yes, there is. I don't like Disney though. Is there going to be a planet McDonald's? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how I'm picking my my long-term holdings. Right.
Yes.
Is there a planet Wells Fargo? Probably not. But
yeah.
No. But yeah, I don't think any asset class is safe right now.
No.
That's kind of where my stomach is queasy, right? I am holding income stocks or income ETFs because it's guaranteed.
Yes.
No, we argue inflation. I don't buy into the whole inflation thing. I know things are getting more expensive.
Yeah.
It's a little funny. Like I'll back up in my meaning around how I don't believe in inflation. I have a salary at the end of the day, right? I get paid the salary. That salary, I spend virtually all of it.
Right.
Okay. No, it pays my mortgage. It pays my credit cards. I think I got an extra $500 after paying everything. My salary income minus all my household expense, I have like $500 at the end of the day. All of my business money, I don't spend any of it. Right. Whatever side money I make as gig money, it all basically it goes straight into the stock market, right? Like that's how it's that's how it's chopped up right now. And so my salary has always covered my cost of living, right? And I always spend all of my salary on something stupid or another, right? Computer streaming gadgets, this little microphone thing, right? My nice Elgato webcam, right?
Yes.
Not sponsored. But I don't feel like inflation impacts me because I still am able to sustain the same lifestyle because I spend all the salary and I haven't changed my salary for the last since 2017. My salary has
Yeah,
not
but
changed.
didn't you say you are now the cuts of meat now are lower grade? Like you're not spending as much money on. So you are, yes, you might have the same salary, but the quality of food or like the type of food you're eating now
Yeah, that's
is
like,
different than.
I don't see it as being a huge deal, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So I'm not eating strip loin anymore, right?
Right.
And then from strip loin, I went to short rib, and then from short rib, I went to like blade tip, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, ultimately, right? Like from
Yeah.
blade tip, I slice it into real thin slices. I pour a whole bunch of Korean bulgogi sauce on it, and then I pan it in a cast iron pan for like 20 minutes until it chars, and I eat it over rice basically, right? And I like that. To me, it tastes great, right?
Fair enough.
Like I don't think I'm a very simple, like my palate is very simple, right? I don't need oysters. I don't need scallops. I eat oysters and scallops from time to time, right? But I mean, I don't need it every day or every week type of thing, right?
Yeah.
I go to Costco, I still spend $200, right? It's not like my Costco bill has gone up to $400, right? Because it's obviously the prices of food has generally gone up. I'm still somehow spending $200 and still making it by, and I'm just as content.
Yes. Yes.
Right? and that's that, which is why I don't think, I think humans, right, society itself, we're very adaptable, right?
Yes.
So, when inflation occurs, or as inflation occurs, obviously our salaries are going up every year, right? And we can obviously say through numbers and statistics, things are getting tougher, right? Like wages have only gone up 3%, but inflation is up 7%. Cost of living is down by 4%. Do we really notice that 4%? And I'm going to say probably not. Some people do, right? And some people don't, right? But it's probably, if inflation were zero and wage increases were zero, right? I bet you it would be the same problem who have spending problems and the same people who, right, don't have spending problems, right? I think it's more of a psychology thing than an actual erosion of purchasing power.
Yeah, and
my
I think
opinion. My opinion.
Yeah, and with inflation, I think I would agree. It's like I wouldn't say it's like I thought it was fake at first, but I mean, like I said, like the textbook thing. I'm like, what is this? Like they say it's a monster, but like I don't like it's so minimum, right? 1 to 2%, or like I see my tuition. Like I guess tuition was like the one thing that I was like, oh, it's real because like always increases by 3%.
Well, when my brother went to school, his tuition was like $2,000 a year. By the time I went, it was $4,000 a year.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So I mean, obviously,
by the time I went, it was 6,000. So.
Yeah, but obviously, I still worked the summer. I still worked part time during the year, right? And I was still able to pay for my own education, right?
Yes.
I still got through it. I graduated with no student loan debt, right?
Yes.
I was very fortunate, right? But my brother graduated with no debt. I graduated with no debt, right? We still ended up in the same place, and obviously, my cost was higher than his. Right. Mm-hmm. But you have to remember when he worked, right? He's 9 years older than me, right? When he worked, he was probably making, $6 sucks back then, right? $6 an hour minimum wage. I was probably making like, $8 to $9 to $10. I was making, I think, $10 an hour back then, right? So my purchase, it was relative, I'm going to say. More or less, right?
Yes.
So I don't know. The concept of inflation, I'm not denying that, prices go up, purchasing powers for some become more difficult. I think,
the technical definition of inflation.
No, I just think humans are adaptable, right? If we need to something, if we need to survive, if we need to do something, we'll make it work, right?
Yeah, just like the gas prices,
right?
The pumps, right?
Yeah.
People will just take less trips, right?
Yeah, it's up 70%. Well, not only that, right? It's up 70%. People are still driving, right? They're cutting back in other places, right? But they're still driving because they need to get from A to B.
Or they'll just get an electric vehicle like you did.
Or electric scooter.
Yeah.
Right. Or bike, right? They'll get to A to B, right?
Yeah.
Regardless, right? And they'll make it work, right? Because we're creatures of it. We try so hard every day to survive, right?
Yeah.
Humans. Yeah. We are a remarkable animal, right? We try so hard every day not to die,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any other creature out there who has the same level of tenacity as we do.
Right.
But no, I think we will go to the ends of the earth to survive, to make it work, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's really reflective of how society has adapted with inflation over the past
And
2-3
and
years.
just on the pandemic too, right? I
Yeah.
mean, people thought like you
That's
have
huge,
to go to
yeah.
the office.
Great
to work,
example.
But now people are working from home, right?
Yeah.
It's like I thought I needed 2 cars, but like in the pandemic, we were able to now work with 1 car, right? And so like, yeah, as my salary kind of fluctuated, it's like, yeah, you are just adaptable. You're like, you know what, I don't need this, and like what I really need is this, like. And you kind of, if anything, and everyone talks about, right, that the good thing about the pandemic is for most people, it's like it actually showed you what really matters, right? Like for me, it's like, yeah, family was everything to me. And so now it's like as I find, new work or, as I do my job, it's like, yeah, it's centered around, how do I make more time for my kids, for my wife, that's kind of the basis, right? Like I even have a rock, right, that says like family, right, to remind me like this
That's
is
nice.
it, right?
That's
this
awesome.
this is my core. I'm going to be the rock for my family. And looking at several positions and stuff, and I asked them, I was like, like is it flexible? Like I live here, and if it doesn't work, then I'm not taking it, because it's like that's central to me now, right? Because it's like I can't go back. It's like I enjoy dropping off my son at daycare every morning, and it's either I drop him off or I pick him up. And if my work hours does not rob me of that opportunity, then I'm not interested, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Because they grow up so fast, right? Like he's 3 now, and it's like, yeah, it's like it's a fleeting moment, and like I mentioned in my previous episodes, like I'm enjoying every time I can put him on my shoulders.
Yeah.
Because I know like there'll be a moment when he'll just be like, no, that's it, Dad.
That's it. Yeah, I'm done with you.
I'm done with you, right?
Yeah.
And right now, this like Saturdays now we go swimming. He just loves the pool so much, and it's like, yeah, like, and now he wakes up. He looks like he looked for Mama, right?
Sure.
Now, not past week, he called Baba. Like the whole week, he's just looking for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, like, finally, right? I've arrived at like close to Mama's like level, right? Of he's looking for. So. And I worked hard for it, and I'm gaining now. It's a battle of inches, and my wife's happy. She's like, yes, more time to myself, right? So yeah, it's yeah. So to the point of humans are adaptable, they definitely are, and 100%. People will find a way.
So you're planning, the conversation tonight was diamond hands. Are you planning to hold? Are you planning to hodl at this point? Hodl.
Yeah.
Going forward at this point?
Yeah, for sure. If not buying in more, right? Because it's so cheap.
You think stocks are cheap right now? Like, I mean, obviously, like the tech stocks are cheap, right?
Yeah, the tech stocks.
It's a 30% discount. It's like going into Marshalls and getting a 30% discount off the sticker price.
I don't think like the tech companies like you mentioned and I mentioned, they're not going anywhere. So the consensus I've been talking to kind of finance students and my planner and stuff like that, it's like, yeah, if you have a long time horizon, it's not a bad time to buy. But like for day trading and stuff, which I can't do anymore with my child.
You think it's bottomed out though? Do you think there's more room for it to continue? Like, do you see an S&P 500 at 3,000?
What is it at now?
30. It teetered back up above 4,000 today. On Friday, I think it was 40, 45. I think it closed at 40.
That's like a 33. No, I don't think that's going to drop 33%.
Well, you have to remember the high was 4,700, right?
Right.
So it teetered below 4,000 on Thursday, like 30, like 39.50 around there. I think,
yeah.
But do you see like a 3,100 or a 3,200 S&P 500? Like we're literally saying it's another 30% drop at this point.
No, I think it's another like 5-10. Just gut feel.
At most, you're saying.
Yeah, not a professional opinion. Just gut feel.
Of course, yeah.
it's just, I mean, earnings are still good.
Earnings are very good, quite frankly.
Yeah,
Like everyone,
so
the job market's very good. Job market
yeah,
is like,
it's like the lowest it's ever
Yeah.
been, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, yes, they're raising inflation rates like at like there's no tomorrow, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's like undue. Like they should have done this earlier. Now they're just playing catch up, right? Everyone was saying raise
you
the
have
0.2.
but you have to consider this, right? Like,
Yes,
there's
yes.
always the argument that the economy and the stock market are not the same thing, right?
Right.
Like, you know,
It's
the
a
whole
lagging indicator. or something like that,
it's
so,
well,
yeah.
I think, what did they say? The economy is linked to the stock market, but the stock market's not linked to the economy. I think that's
yeah,
what they
because it's
said.
all
Yeah.
like emotional. Right?
Yeah.
Like the emotional roller coaster. There's no.
but like no, we've concluded right now the job market's still very good in North America.
Yes.
Right. Whatever side of the border you're on.
The great resignation is still happening. Like
The great resignation is happening.
Yeah.
People still have choice to go find work if they want. Right. That's why. It's
Yeah,
happening.
my friend just you know, he had a recruiter and he just found a job paying 40% higher than what he's making.
Yeah, and he's probably working from home. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's the one reason why he was not happy with this company, because they won't let him work from home. And they're like, but all these other people were working from home. How come I can't? And it forced him, you know, to go look elsewhere. A recruiter comes from LinkedIn and boom, he's like 40% raise and his, you know, his working conditions. It's fine right now, job market. So
yeah, but I don't actually know what the right answer is in terms of, you know, getting back in at this point, right? Like, you know, my existing shares, I'm diamond hands with them, right? Like, I will not be dumping them. They're all good, you know, Google, Microsoft, Tesla.
Yeah.
I mean, Tesla being the more, you know, I'm not going to say Tesla's garbage. It's not garbage. I think Tesla is a very good stock for the R&D they've developed, for the goodwill they've developed, right? You know, obviously they're the least profitable of the traditional, you know, mega cap stocks, but no, I think Tesla has a huge future in energy. I'm digressing. What I mean to say is, you know, I'll probably get back into an S&P 500 ETF. You know, sometime soon, right? Because we don't know when the bottom is, right? But even if I get back in today, you know, from 4,000 to 4,700, right? That's a nice, you know, 20% return, right? And as long as we're holding for the long run, I don't think, you know, it's going to go anywhere, right? The stock market's not going to go anywhere.
It's not. And you know, the saying is time in the market is better than timing the market. I know you're trying to time the market.
Oh yeah, I'm being an idiot, right? I am being an idiot.
No, you're smart. You're smart.
No.
But I mean, for those out there who are feeling queasy and stuff like that, like, again, just get in a little bit at a time. There's no harm in it. Right now, like, you know, we all mentioned, it's a 30% discount. Let's say it goes down another 10%. We'll just buy a little bit more, scoop it. And I think if anything, it's just, again, stay invested, right? It's just time in the market. Don't try to.
Yeah, they say, like, you know, there's what, 270 winning days on average in a given year, right?
Yeah.
If you're not in for those 270 days, you basically lost out, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm looking at QQQ right now. It's down 26%, right?
Yeah. Nasdaq was down like 30 or something, 25 or something year to date. So
yeah. So I mean, year to date. I can't see that. Yeah, it's about, oh wow, 401 to 301. Yeah, it's a 33%. Yeah, it's about 30% drop. Yeah, I mean, just, you know, I think if you're here for the long, I don't think there's any mistake in, you know, a broad-based index fund, right? The Dow being the one I, you know, the Russell being the last one I touch. You know, S&P or Nasdaq, I don't think, you know, long term, and by long term I mean, like, you know, 15, 20 years.
Yes.
You can't make a mistake, I don't think.
Yes. Yeah.
Unless something catastrophic happens in the 15th year from now. You know, but, you know, in a normal environment, in a normal environment where things are back to normal, you know, 15, 20 years from now, I think we'll be in a good spot. Right? The world will always, you know, the world will come back. I don't want to say the word always. The world will come back in good times sometime in the future.
I mean, and again, just pandemic, right? Just look at it, right? Like, it just, we thought it was going to take another great recession, take 2-3 years. No, it's just like 3 months and it rebounded. And I'm not saying every pandemic, every big event's going to be like that.
No, so I JPOW prints money.
Yeah, you just you do you just governments do crazy things sometimes.
Yeah.
Crazy times. So you just don't know what to expect. It's everything, all those theories, you just throw it out. It's like, books are gonna be written.
One thing I do want to mention,
Yeah.
coming into this whole inflationary market with interest rates going up, right? I think we can see how leveraged the crypto market was. I don't know. I think it's very transparent at this time that a lot of people had borrowed money
Yes.
to, I say retail investors had borrowed money to, to invest in crypto, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are pulling their money out now. That's why we're seeing declines, right? To pay up. I think people are paying off debt, right?
Yes.
They're either by choice paying it down or they're being margin called, right?
Yes.
Forcing them to to close on whatever position. But with these rising interest rates, I think it's very interesting how how crazy the crypto market was leveraged, and we see it with Coinbase transactions tanking, right? Their earnings came out awful last week. I think it's very apparent now, right? I think crypto will come back, right? There's always one of the 7 sins, human greed, right? Will always come back, right? And it's an existing asset class. I don't think crypto is going away, right? If you believe, right, that one day the day they decide to cut interest rates again, right? I think that'll be an indication of where you're going to start seeing a rise in crypto again. I think crypto is going to plateau for for this long winter, I'm calling it, right?
Right.
I don't think it's once we've if interest rates if it's built in at this point, interest rates are going to be raised another 2%, right?
Yeah.
If that's the case, if interest rates are going to be the ceiling is another 2% at this point, nothing beyond that, right?
Yeah.
We're at the bottom of the market for crypto, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it ever does go beyond that, if it goes like 2.5%, then of course crypto is going to go down again, right? But it's interesting. I think human greed, human emotion, mentality. That how crazy these coins were leveraged.
Well, this and weed stocks, right? Weed stocks was also.
Oh, I loved the cannabis time. that morning, the morning Aurora cannabis popped. I got a text message from my friend. He's like, "Hey, it hit your price," and I woke up. I sold, and by the time I left for work, within half an hour selling it, Aurora cannabis went from 14 down to 11, and I got out. And wow, that was an exciting time. But it was a fad, right? I unfortunately we didn't see cannabis go anywhere. I don't think.
No.
It's an expensive hobby.
Yeah. All right.
Is that the end of this episode, Kenold?
I think so.
I think we chatted quite a bit about the direction of what our holdings and what we plan to do. I think we kind of gabbed as much as we can about it. So
yeah, no, it's cool. And next week is a long weekend. Are you in town?
I'm in town. I'm not going anywhere. Yeah.
Okay.
But we'll see. We'll figure out what your schedule is like if you're in town or not, and we'll decide on a topic.
I think I should be in town, but we'll keep you posted if anything. 9:00.
Sounds good.
Saturday night.
I'll see you next week then.
Good night.
Have a good night, man.